So this is going to ruffle a few feathers, but we're going to talk about the Detroit Red Wings today and whether or not Steve Yzerman made a mistake by trading away a very certain name that, by all accounts, is on track to becoming a captain at the National Hockey League level. Today we're talking about Filip Hronek of the Vancouver Canucks, a guy who, admittedly, is a lot better than some of the other right-handed defensemen that are listed on the Detroit Red Wings right now. Travis Hamonic, he's gotta go. If he comes back, I would actually be pretty surprised. But Axel Sandin-Pellikka, he's young, so obviously you can say Hronek is better than him right now. Justin Falk, I would say that Filip Hronek is a better defenseman than too. Which leaves Mo Seider as the only right-handed, right-side D that is currently better than what Filip Hronek is today. You see, this all started out because of a tweet made by Jason Gregor, posted earlier in the week. He said that he still cannot believe that the Detroit Red Wings traded Filip Hronek at the 2023 trade deadline because they didn't want to pay him. Their pro scouting on defensemen is the main reason they are 10 years without the playoffs. Their amateur scouts are great at drafting D, but pro scouts have made some huge errors. Now, what exactly does Jason mean by this? Well, I think right now it's a pretty great time to articulate the difference between pro scouting and amateur scouting. Pro scouting is your team essentially looking around the NHL at the free agent pool and on the trade block and saying, hey, which NHL defensemen are available right now? Let's go out there and make a trade for them. Amateur scouting, on the other hand, they scout the prospects. They scout the young guys coming into the system, not the players that you have to trade for and sign in free agency, but the scouted players that don't actually have NHL rights at the time. And for the most part, you can say that this is actually pretty accurate. Great defensemen have come out of the Detroit Red Wings and their draft pick history over the past few years. I mean, Mo Seider, of course, is the big one. Simon Edvinsson is another. And then you take a look at some of these other secondary, tertiary names. Axel Sandin-Pellikka is a force to be reckoned with. Simon Edvinsson, of course, is over here. William Wallinder is a guy that I think a lot of Red Wings fans are projecting to be a player at some point. I know Donovan Sebrango is no longer a Red Wing, but he is a serviceable NHL guy. And then you have Albert Johansson, too. There are a bunch of guys over the past few years that have legitimately been noteworthy pickups from the defensive position in these drafts. But the pro scouting department, oh man. What in the world made Yzerman think that Justin Hall, Ben Sherratt, and Travis Hamonic would be proper targets at the dollar amounts and the length that they ended up going for? With that said, there are some arguments to be made on this tweet. He's essentially saying, why did they trade Filip Hronek when their defense would suffer otherwise? Seider, Edvinsson, ASP, and Falk. Who's got a better defense in the NHL? Champ87 said. Jason replied, if they're so good, how come they went from 4th in the league in January to out of the playoffs giving up loads of chances? That top 4 isn't top 10 in the NHL. Letting Gostisbehere walk as well, and then extending Ben Sherratt, and paying to move Wallman when he had 2 years left at only $3.4 million. Yup, the Red Wings dealt Hronek, paid San Jose to take Wallman, and let's not forget trading Bertuzzi years ago. Can't give amateur a pass, they took Zadina over a fella by the name of Quinn Hughes. Anyways, at least they didn't pay much for Falk. And so, with all that said, you can say that maybe Filip Hronek, if he were a Detroit Red Wing still, obviously he would be an in-the-now upgrade over Axel Sandin-Pellikka. As good as Sandin-Pellikka is going to be, and as prosperous of a career he is going to have, he is still a young defenseman. He's only 21 years old. He is nowhere near his prime. I think it's fair to say that from a value-to-value perspective, Filip Hronek at 28 years old is a more valuable piece right now. If you're a Red Wings team that wants to build for the long haul, you want to be competitive in 2036 as much as you are in 2026, then okay, I could understand the rationale of valuing ASP more. But Filip Hronek's pretty darn good. And he's showing off right now in Vancouver what he can do without Quinn Hughes in the mix as well. For what it's worth, there were a number of people going out there and disagreeing with Gregor's tweet, not saying things like, oh, hey, they got a pretty good defense score. Like Champ87 said, JFresh went out there and replied to this thing. He said, maybe an unpopular opinion, but flipping Hronek for a 17th overall pick and a second instead of paying him all that money is actually one of Yzerman's better moves, in my opinion. This tweet has been viewed pretty interestingly as well, but they just gave up a first for a season and a quarter of Falk. Which would be better to have, Falk or Filip Hronek? JFresh said, yeah, well, that's true, but nowhere in the terms of the Hronek trade was it required that Yzerman acquire Justin Falk for a second. I'm just saying in a vacuum, passing on Hronek isn't that big a deal. LOL, what? They spent the cap room on absolute junk. Hronek has been a monster in Vancouver. You actually have to pay someone, though. Hoarding prospects and picks and letting actual productive guys walk is the pay to perpetual loserdom. Well, they've been paying lots of people. Unfortunately, they keep paying guys who suck. And so, this is a little bit of a vacuum versus bigger picture type of scenario. JFresh is saying that, yeah, flipping Hronek for this draft pick is actually pretty alright when you consider how much they could have paid him, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they did good with the money that they saved by not signing Filip Hronek. Right now, he's making $7.25 million a year till the end of 2032. If he continues going out there and consistently being a 40-50 point number one defenseman on one of the worst teams in the league, I think it's totally fair that he makes this amount of money. Another tweet goes out there and says, Filip Hronek had one solid offensive season for Detroit. If they didn't pull the trigger and he ended up flopping the next year, you'd be saying the exact opposite. I mean, Seider, Hronek, and Raymond were all due for contracts at the same time. They wound up using that draft pick to take ASP, who was still young. Hindsight is 2020, but Yzerman made the right call. He definitely looks significantly better now. Yeah, I'm probably going to agree with that, really. Filip Hronek was fine in Detroit, maxing out at 38 points in back-to-back seasons, the lower game season having 60 games played in total. But over the years, he has showcased a different amount of value to this Canucks team. He had 49 points this previous season, which was more than what he had accomplished in his first full season with the team. This season, by the way, he had a crazy long point streak to open up the year, and he was playing with Quinn Hughes. So the fact that Filip Hronek has gone out there and done all this on one of the worst teams in the league, it's a pretty good resume-building statistic, and at the end of the day, he's showing off value that I don't think he had in Detroit. The question as to whether or not Steve Yzerman made a mistake by not paying him that money and deciding to trade him away instead, that's something y'all can let me know about in the comments section below. Do you agree with this sentiment? Do you disagree with this sentiment? Do you think Filip Hronek would have been more useful in Detroit than otherwise? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.